Welcome to my Fortnite Battle Royale Week 6 Challenge Guide. In this episode, I'll be covering one of the more difficult challenges we've received in Season 5, which has us completing 5 time trials. Now, I thought I've seen everything when it comes to clickbait on YouTube, but this challenge takes the cake. All those worthless black sock wearing YouTubers that try to upload these leaked challenges early got a rude awakening with this one. Everyone assumed that time trials meant racing on the racetracks with vehicles, and boy were they wrong. Even those that did get the challenge right put out effortless guides where they just showed the locations and that was it, not bothering to help you complete the puzzle-like courses at all. I won't be making the same mistakes, as I'll be guiding you through how to complete each trial. Now, these time trials are actually little clocks that you have to locate, and upon finding one, you have to hold square to activate it. After doing so, 8 more little clocks appear, and you've got a limited time frame to collect them all. I timed this out, and it looks like it gives you roughly 22 seconds to collect all 8. Now, this does sound like a lot of time, but when you take into account the fact that a lot of these are in a puzzle-like scenario, it can get extremely frustrating. First of all, you have to ensure that the coast is clear. Second of all, you have to experiment multiple times to get a feel for where you may or may not need to build. Now, some of the puzzles are extremely easy and require no building, and then there's some that require vehicles and others are outright impossible. So there's 7 total time trials throughout the map, but you only need to do 5 of them, and they don't need to be in the same match. Now, I went ahead and did all 7 of them, and I'd rank 5 of the 7 as extremely easy, and then 2 of them as difficult or impossible. I'll be showing you all 7 of these, and you can complete any of the 5 you think will be easiest for you. So first up is one just southeast of Junction. If you land at the giant Whitehead statue, you should be able to safely secure a weapon just in case enemies are nearby. I highly recommend doing these time trials in the sniper-only mode, as it makes things much easier. You can find the time trial clock just south of this statue, and here's the exact location of it on your mini-map, which is just north of Pleasant Park and southeast of Junction. So upon activating this one, you'll see that all the clocks are up in the sky. So right off the bat, we're dealing with a medium difficulty trial. With that said, it's not too difficult. You'll require a few ramps and platforms, but multiple activations to get the layout of these clocks down. Now, of note, they don't ever change order, so you can refresh the course as often as you need to in order to get your structures built. There's also tons of heavy-duty trees nearby to get some wood if you need it. And just a heads up, some bozo put a rift right on the spawn of one of these clocks, so you'll end up getting teleported away if that rift spawns. Like I said before, just run through this one a few times and build as you go. This isn't an isolated spot, so you should have plenty of time to build. Now here's my run-through where I completed it. Next up is one located just outside of Snobby Shores. This is one of the 2 severely difficult ones. The exact location on your minimap is just outside the most southern house in Snobby Shores. Upon activating this one, you'll see that the clocks are spread out immensely. Not to mention there's a huge ramp in the middle of the course, which is virtually impossible to do on foot, even if you build a bridge. This, of course, means you'll need an ATK, which is why it's ranked as difficult. Of note, if you haven't done your jump through the fire rings challenge yet, this is also the location of one of these rings. Now luckily, there's quite a few ATK spawns nearby in Snobby Shores that you can use. Once you do get a vehicle, you'll have to hop out of it to actually start the process, which is a bit frustrating. Thankfully, the initial clock is on an incline, so when you get out of the ATK, it'll start rolling down the hill while you begin the course. Simply hop back in and begin your voyage. There's a lot of tight turns on this one, so be sure to use your brake a lot. The hardest part is landing the ramp. If you come in at a bad angle, you could flip the vehicle and ruin the trial, or you'll come in too wide and waste too much time. This one probably took me about 9 tries to complete, simply because controlling the ATK is a lot harder than it seems, especially when you've got a limited time frame to complete this. I didn't see the need for any building to finish this one off though. It's all doable with just the ATK. So here's my final run for this one. Next up is a much easier one. You'll find this one in the middle of Retail Row. The starting clock location is found in the letter O of row on your minimap. I didn't get a chance to show the exact spot because I had some black sock wearing scallywag chasing me. If I can complete this one with 2 snipers continually shooting at me, you should have no issues. I had no materials, so 0 builds are required. Simply jump on the cars and trucks and you'll be good to go. Now here's me completing it. Next up is one in a very isolated Paradise Palm spot. Other than people trying to do this challenge themselves, you should find no enemies here. And this is the exact spot on the minimap for this one. So this is another easy one, but it does require at least 1 build, and I prefer doing 2. The first build you'll need is a ramp up to one of the clocks on a giant rock. The second build is a ramp downward to hit the one in midair over the waterfall. I don't think you necessarily need this one going down, as you could probably just jump, but it does make it easier. Now here's me completing it for you to see. The next time trial location is northeast of Shifty Shafts. Now occasionally, you may be blessed by the Fortnite gods. If you visit some of these locations mid to late game, someone may have completed it already before you and left a nice structure for easy access. And that was the case with this one for me. So first off, here's the exact location on the minimap for the activation clock. If we look at the structure someone built already, it looks like all the clocks more or less go straight up. You'll have to edit some of your platforms to make a little hole for you to go through. It doesn't look that difficult, but it would take a few tries to construct this. Thankfully, it's not in a heavily trafficked area. Now here's me completing it, compliments of someone else doing the dirty work. The next to last one is very easy and is found at Lonely Lodge. And this is the location of the Search 7 chest challenge for this week, so there's bound to be a lot of people here. Again, Snipers Only game mode does the trick, even if there are enemies nearby. You'll find the starting clock on the top of the lodge itself right here on the minimap. This one requires minimal materials just to do a few builds, namely a few platforms to make sure you don't fall off the lodge itself, and then maybe 1 or 2 ramps up some vehicles. So here's me completing the trial. Now the last one is the most difficult and is virtually impossible. The location is just northwest of Tomato Town, so I must have tried this one at least 10 times and I couldn't figure out how to complete it. The clocks are just too spaced out to complete on foot, and there's no ATKs that spawn anywhere near this area. The closest place you can grab one would be at Lazy Links. I did have the idea of using directional pads, but not everyone would have these in their inventory. From what I've seen and read though, having an ATK makes this one doable. But like I said, you'd have to go out of your way to get one. So I highly recommend that you avoid this one and the one in Snobby Shores. The other 5 don't require vehicles, which makes them immensely easier. If anyone figures out a way to complete this one on foot without a shopping cart or a vehicle, please let me know in the comments section. So there you have it. Those were all 7 of the time trial locations for this week 6 challenge. So here's the map, compliments of Fortnite Master, showcasing all 7 of the locations. As I mentioned earlier, you'll likely want to avoid the one at Snobby Shores and definitely the one near Tomato Town. Controlling those ATKs are a pain in the butt. Not to mention they're incredibly loud and can give away your position. The other 5 locations may require a little building to complete, but at least they're doable without a vehicle. For most of these trials, simply observe the patterns and build the necessary structures to reach them and you'll be good to go. One thing's for certain with this challenge though, it definitely requires a lot of patience.